In the heart of West Africa, a young leader has emerged, shaking the foundations of global politics and challenging the old order. His name is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 36-year-old president of Burkina Faso, who rose to power in 2022 after a military coup. At first, many around the world barely knew his name, but today he is seen by some as the face of a new Africa, defiant, unapologetic, and unwilling to bow before Western influence. For others, however, he is a dangerous populist, leaning too heavily on Russia's support while pushing away traditional allies. But the real question that is echoing from Ouagadougou to Washington is this: is Ibrahim Traoré truly challenging the United States, or is his fight more symbolic than strategic? To understand this, we need to rewind to the beginning. Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation long struggling with poverty and terrorism, had grown weary of years of failed promises. French troops, once invited to fight jihadist groups, were expelled under Traoré's leadership. He accused France of exploiting Africa's resources while failing to deliver real security. That bold move made him a hero in the eyes of many Africans who have grown frustrated with what they see as neo-colonial interference. Soon, chants of Traoré, the new Sankara, began to spread, comparing him to Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary icon of the 1980s. And in that moment, Traoré's image began to transcend his small country. He became a symbol of defiance across the continent. But symbolism alone doesn't challenge global powers. What truly caught Washington's attention was his realignment of alliances. Instead of relying on Western military aid, Traoré turned toward Russia. Moscow saw an opportunity and quickly embraced him, offering weapons, advisors, and a powerful media machine that amplified his message. TikTok videos, slickly edited documentaries, and social media campaigns started painting Traoré as Africa's bold defender against the West. This wasn't just about Burkina Faso anymore. It was about a new narrative of African independence, one that clashed directly with America's interests in the region. The United States, of course, responded cautiously but critically. Earlier this year, General Michael Langley, the head of U.S. Africa Command, told Congress that Traoré was using Burkina Faso's gold reserves simply to prop up his regime. That accusation spread like wildfire, and in Ouagadougou, thousands poured into the streets, not to condemn Traoré, but to condemn America. Protesters carried anti-U.S. banners and waved Russian flags, chanting their support for the young captain. It was a powerful image, a small West African nation rallying not behind Washington, but against it. So does this mean Traoré is challenging the U.S. directly? Not exactly. He hasn't declared America an enemy, nor has he broken diplomatic ties. Instead, his challenge is more subtle, more psychological. By rejecting the Western path and embracing alternatives, Traoré is signaling to Africa and to the world that the old system can be resisted. He is using words, symbols, and alliances to project power far beyond Burkina Faso's borders. And make no mistake, in the world of geopolitics, symbolism can be just as threatening as weapons. What makes this even more interesting is how Traoré's rise fits into a larger trend. Across Africa, young people are increasingly demanding sovereignty. They are tired of outside powers dictating their future. From Mali to Niger, coups have swept the region, each new government distancing itself from the West and leaning toward Russia or even China. Traoré has become the poster child of this movement, and in many ways Washington sees him less as a single threat and more as the face of a wider storm sweeping across the continent. Yet the story isn't so simple. Critics argue that while Traoré preaches independence, he is still heavily dependent, only this time on Russia. They point out that by trading French troops for Russian mercenaries and advisors, Burkina Faso isn't truly free, but merely switching masters. And so the question grows sharper. Is Traoré genuinely fighting for African liberation? Or is he just another strongman using populist rhetoric to cling to power? This is where the U.S. feels cornered. On one hand, openly opposing Traoré risks fueling his popularity even further. Every criticism from Washington becomes proof, in the eyes of his supporters, that he is shaking the empire. On the other hand, ignoring him could allow Russia to tighten its grip on a region critical for minerals, trade, and global security. That delicate balance is why American officials speak cautiously, sometimes condemning, sometimes downplaying, but always watching closely. But let's not forget the people of Burkina Faso themselves. For many, Traoré's leadership is not about geopolitics, it's about survival. His speeches resonate because they echo the pain of decades of poverty, corruption, and insecurity. When he speaks of dignity, independence, and sovereignty, he is speaking to millions who feel forgotten by both their own leaders and the global powers. That emotional connection is what makes him so dangerous to the West. Not his army, not his gold, but his ability to inspire. So, is Ibrahim Traoré truly challenging the United States? The answer lies somewhere in the middle. He is not confronting America with tanks or troops, but he is confronting its influence, its narrative, and its long-standing role in Africa. For Washington, that may be an even greater challenge because ideas spread faster than armies. And for Moscow, he is the perfect partner. A young, charismatic figure who can rally African pride while opening the door to Russian influence. As this story unfolds, the stakes couldn't be higher. Burkina Faso may be small, but the struggle it represents is massive. A battle over who will shape Africa's future. Will it be the West, holding on to its influence? Will it be Russia, carving out a new empire of allies? Or will it be Africa itself, finally seizing its destiny? In that battlefield of ideas, Captain Ibrahim Traoré stands at the center. And that brings us back to you, the viewer. When you see Traoré defying Western leaders, do you see a liberator breaking free from centuries of control? Or do you see another leader using anti-Western slogans to mask his dependence on another power? Is he Africa's hero, or just another player in a global chess game? One thing is certain, the world is watching. And every speech, every rally, and every shift in alliance will echo far beyond the streets of Ouagadougou. Because in challenging the symbols of Western power, Ibrahim Traoré has already challenged the United States, not with weapons but with something even harder to defeat: an idea.